Standing by.
Hello everybody, what is up? Prof here, and today we're going to be doing my review on Infamous Second Son on the PlayStation 4. Now, coming up to the PlayStation 4's launch, this was definitely a game I was highly anticipating, and I'm happy to say it did not disappoint me at all. This game was pretty amazing, whether it was graphics, controls, gameplay, and story. It was just all pretty freaking really well done. Alright, so I guess first we'll go ahead and get started with something I actually thought was really cool, which was the controls. They actually managed to incorporate a lot of the DualShock 4's features into this game, which I thought was pretty cool. Like there's in the beginning part, basically, as you'll see in this video, that you have to sit there and like spray paint. You tag stuff throughout the game. You can do good or bad, like either one will get you good or bad karma depending on how you're playing the story. But the cool part is like you'll have to sit there and hold the controller sideways, shake it in order to like shake up the spray paint can, and then like actually use the controller to aim to sit there and basically fill out the stencil, which I thought was pretty cool. And then there's also other stuff like when you're freeing civilians from the cages and stuff, you have to sit there and swipe up on the touchpad, or there's other parts where you have to go put your hand on the fingerprint scanner, so you actually have to move your finger to line it up. Though the only sad part is that's really only used once in the game with the whole fingerprint scanner, so it's kind of like, oh, that was cool. Kind of wish it was used a bit more, but I mean, granted, you can just go to the other fingerprint scanners and use them again, but basically they'll beep off again saying you're conduit. He's like, then of course Delson's like, yep, still a conduit. Go figure. But yeah, so all in all, it was this really cool. And another cool part with the controller is, depending on your alignment, like when you first start out, the light bar will be like a pretty, like, I don't want to say full white color. So basically, whether you go good or evil, if you're a good karma, it'll start slowly getting to a darker blue, or of course red, it'll start getting to a darker red. But it's kind of funny because when I first made my was a bad karma choice and everything, it sat there and actually started glowing pink. So I thought it was funny. It's like, oh look, I'm evil, I'm pink now. Blah. But yeah, other than that, it was really cool. And next, I want to talk about the graphics. The graphics were just freaking ridiculous. Like, they were, like, usually you think when a next new-gen console launches, you're not going to see the full capacity of its graphics for at least 2 to 3 years, but the graphics this game had, I was just like, whoa, shit, we're getting these kind of graphics and the system just barely launched? Shit, the graphics are these good now. I'm kind of curious, like, are the graphics just going to keep getting better and better as the years go on? If so, then holy shit. But yeah, these graphics, either when it came to facial structures of the characters, like when they're talking, like it looked pretty realistic with their facial movements, and even just like looking down on the cities at some part, like it just looks pretty realistic. So I was definitely really pleased with that. They did a freaking great job. And then there's also if you do go look around the cities, there's little Easter eggs, like, if I can remember all of them offhand. I know I found a few ones with Sly Cooper, like, there's one part in the playground where there's a chalk drawing of a lot of the characters from the Sly Cooper game. Then on the side of it was like 3 normal-looking raccoons, but they all had, like, either Sly Cooper's hat or his staff, so that was pretty cool. I went in the alleyway, saw a giant Sly Cooper logo and everything. And I think there's like, was it Kohl's Electronics? There's like some sort of Kohl's Electronics store. So they have like Easter eggs hidden all throughout the game. I honestly probably should have a list pulled up, but yeah, there's a pretty good amount of them. You may catch them if you play it. Alright, so now I guess we'll get on to the storyline. So basically the story revolves around, basically you're Delson, you're sitting there starting out the game, spray painting a billboard of your brother. And of course you get in trouble, your brother's like, damn it, I have to arrest you now. He's like, why do you keep arresting me? I'm your brother. But yeah, so I mean, it's pretty comical between the brothers, but you know they care about each other. But then basically, this van goes and crashes, and your brother's of course going like, okay, don't move, just stay there. And of course, Delson, being the cocky bastard he is, says, no, I can't do that. Look, that guy needs help. So he helps him out from the truck. Guy seems grateful, and his brother comes up pointing a gun. Guy sits there, whole Delson, basically, I guess, how Delson's powers work is if he touches another conduit, he can absorb and then gain their power, so that's basically how his conduit powers basically got discovered. Well, basically got awakened and everything, so it was pretty cool because, like, at the beginning part, it's just like he didn't know how the heck to handle it because he started going like, holy shit, what the hell's going on, when he's sitting there like poofing in the smoke and like shooting forward, so he's like pretty freaked out. But eventually throughout the game, like in the original Infamous 1 and 2, Cole basically hated his powers. He's just like, ah, god damn it, I have these powers, whatever. I guess I'll do good or whatever. Well, technically the canon storyline is him being is actually good, so. But yeah, he kind of begrudgingly had the powers, but Delson, he freaking loves having these powers. Like, he's like going like, he's like, don't you, like his brother's sitting there asking, he's like, don't you hate it? He's like, huh, let me see the bad things. Like, nope, can't think of a single bad thing about these powers. They're pretty freaking awesome. And even like the trailer we saw over at E3 and everything, like when you see him launch up into the air and you just see that smirk on his face, you can tell that he enjoys these freaking powers. And he has freaking a ton of fun with them. So yeah, other than that, you kind of go, so basically, you sit there and go chase after the guy because you're going like, no, this guy has to get rid of these powers. I cannot be one of those conduits. And of course you get caught by the main story's protagonist, which is Augustine, which she has concrete powers. So of course, starts off with she's kind of questioning you because of course your character would have got out of it, but of course he has to make a cocky remark, and that kind of starts the whole thing. So basically he gets the cement in his legs, and since he's not answering, she goes on to I forgot what her name was, basically your grandma or whatever, because he's part of like some sort of Indian tribe. But yeah, so she ends up getting concrete in her legs and everything, and the story basically, since it's going to keep spreading, you have to go down to the city, find Augustine, and try to get her powers and take it out. So basically the story is kind of like, oh crap, we gotta help Grandma get the concrete out of her legs. Yay, happy story. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty cool. You get multiple other powers, such as neon, which is really freaking badass because you can literally like speed across a city, run straight up a building, do like these high jumps. Freaking a super attack for that's pretty awesome. But then the third one is like this nerd kid, but basically it's pretty awesome because he always plays video games, so he can control like kind of like electronic signal stuff. So he basically creates all these like angel and demon things, which I gotta admit, that boss fight was kind of a pain in the ass. But yeah, so his powers is kind of sick because like with the smoke you can kind of like go up chimneys, you kind of poof through gates, so that's pretty cool. The neon, of course, is running high speeds, going straight up buildings and all that. And then with the, I want to say digital power, you can basically get these like angel wings. You can actually sit there and start gliding across the city. Your missiles are actually these swords that kind of lock on when you aim at somebody, then shoot into them. So it's pretty badass. So I mean, the whole storyline, basically the last battle, of course the only complaint I will have is your fourth power, which is a concrete power. You don't actually get to the very end of the game, which kind of sucks because you don't really have much to mess around with. So basically the only time you really get to mess around with your concrete is basically once the game's already over. You can kind of just go around the city, kind of messing around and basically completing whatever missions you didn't do through the storyline. So one of the main characters does die. I'm not going to tell you because that'll kind of ruin this, basically the storyline, and basically if you decide to play, it won't be a surprise. But the good endings, kind of as you expected. You get Augustine's powers, you sit there and basically are able to heal your grandma and save everybody else in your tribe, so it's pretty cool. Now for the bad ending, this is probably going to be the only spoiler part, so if you don't want to hear it, just probably skip a few seconds ahead or something. So the bad ending's the real, like, when I heard it, I was like, oh shit. Because basically, at the very end, if you have full bad karma, like, your grandma basically was like, oh, you shamed this whole tribe, we no longer want you here, and da-da-da, and basically Delson's just pissed. So you just see him walk out of the building, freaking, like, shoot straight up into the air like you saw in the trailer, comes crashing down, and he explodes the entire freaking tribe house and everything, killing everybody. I was like, damn. Holy shit. So yeah, all in all, this game was freaking all down to the gameplay, and the gameplay felt pretty fluid, whether it was going through the city, sitting there climbing buildings and all that. and basically using your powers in the combat. And the powers is kind of cool because you don't just get unlimited amount of the power. Like sitting there shooting off your blast, doing missiles and everything, it slowly depletes. So if you're using smoke, you gotta find either cart outs on fire, chimneys, or whatever, anything that's producing smoke. You have to go up to it, use a touchpad, and absorb the smoke. With the neon, you basically, once you start running out, you have to find anything that's a neon sign and absorb that. And the only other one was with the digital one. It's a little bit harder to find resources for that one because you can only basically get it out of either TVs or like somebody's satellite dishes and everything. So that's like really the only way to get those. So those ones are a little bit more hard to keep getting a hold of the power. So I only got a chance to use those a limited amount of time. But all in all, this game was freaking great. So what is it? I think my only disappointing part is the fact that there's not really much mention to what happened in Infamous 1 and 2, because at the end of 2, basically, was it Cole sits there and sets off that one orb, but basically killing all the conduits, or anybody who had conduit powers hidden within him. And also, as far as we know, he died? I'm not sure, I haven't played in a while, but I don't think they made that fully clear. So yeah, all in all, they kind of didn't make any sort of mention to that, which it isn't bad because anybody who's fresh into the Infamous series, who's never played Infamous before, can just jump into this game and just have a blast with it. But other than that, it's kind of like, I mean, you do get the Cole's Legacy DLC, which I got with my Collector's Edition, which is kind of cool because you talk to, I forgot what the heck the guy's name was. I think he was the cop, the one black guy from 1 and 2, but basically he kind of will sit there and say, hell yeah, go to this place, you know, kind of find out bits and pieces about Cole. But as for him physically showing up in the game, he's not there at all. So a lot of people are kind of disappointed in that, but I'm not really going to knock the game out for that. So all in all, I think I'm going to go ahead and give this game a 10. Yeah, like usually I don't, most of my scores tend to go between like 8 to 9, depending. I haven't had a super bad game that I reviewed, but yeah, this one I'm going to go ahead and give it 10 because I honestly enjoyed this entire game. Because, I mean, there are parts where it's challenging, but all in that, I just freaking had fun. I got kind of immersed in the city. At times, I'd just be kind of screwing around. Okay, it's going on like 12 minutes now, but yeah, so one of my favorite, I think the funniest mission was where I was trying to search for the guy when I was trying to find a nerd kid who had the angel and demon powers and everything, or the digital power. But basically, I had one of the guys hid in one of the porta potty stalls, so I had to sit there and basically go around, freaking like running around to every stall I found and basically swinging the door open. And I was kind of, wouldn't it be hilarious as shit if someone was actually using one and I just kind of swung the door open? I was like, oh, you're not the guy I was looking for. Sorry about that. But yeah, so that was one funny part. And I did manage to find actually a few random glitches and everything. Like one was, it's not really much of a glitch, it's kind of something you averagely find, but if you kind of go into the stall and kind of like move around the camera, it'll kind of like go inside of his head and you'll just see nothing but his eyes and his tongue, so that was kind of trippy. But the one weird part, I think this one was actually a glitch, is where you sit there and if you try to use your power where you boost forward while you're stuttering, blah. Okay, as you're standing in the stall, basically for some random reason it'll launch you straight up into the air, like super freaking high as shit in the air. I'm like, what the hell? And then what was it? The last one was if you're on the train tracks with a neon power and you sit there and start going like full speed and then you just stop but continue pressing forward, he'll basically kind of have his like legs kind of up a bit, but he'll just be gliding along the rails for a while. So there's just some like random little things. And then of course there is also the Paper Trail DLC, which I think is actually reaching its final DLC. And no, you do not get paper powers. I was kind of disappointed when I found that out. But yeah, so I mean, after the game you still got the Paper Trail DLC, so it's not like they don't leave you with anything, like pretty much nothing to do. I'm kind of just going throughout the areas, kind of taking control, getting rid of all the DUP, getting all the tag spots, because I'm just amused with tagging things for some reason. But all in all, yeah, you got some playability, and especially if you want to platinum it, then you're going to have to try to play it on hard mode and then beat it in both good and evil karma. So it's pretty cool, because I mean, you at least got a good 2 playthroughs of it. because the story lines do change depending on whether you do good or bad karma. And if you, of course, if you played Infamous before, you already know that. But for those who don't, yeah, basically your gameplay will be affected by the choices you make. But it's kind of one of those things. If you're going to choose to do good karma, you definitely want to stick with that throughout the entire game, because otherwise you're not going to get the full effect, and it's just not that easy to sit there and get your good karma back up. Alright folks, so that was my review of Infamous Second Son. Yeah, sorry I'm a bit late on this review. I beat it a little bit ago, but then just a lot of family stuff's been happening lately, so I finally got around to actually being able to do this. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. You were in there